I don't like to name names, you know what I mean?
Ah,
I don't think I can ever be cool with someone who's tried to, deny me a place. Because the market is very small in Swaziland. And he had such a big hit, it became bigger than what he could do with it. There's political aspirations. People shouldn't think that democracy is the ultimate solution to all their problems. That was like saying points. These are the people you need to look at. You need to look at his crew, his team. They are the ones who betrayed him.
if you don't have the LV or Gucci, it's shy.
It's shy. And whether they can't afford it, but it's shy for you.
Check out those
There's
ones.
nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. You can't. There's nothing of value in hip hop. That's why people listen to podcasts. They don't listen to rappers.
Superstar Rockstar Levol, welcome back to the biggest YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed by now, please make sure you pause this video, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment, and share. Let everyone know about this YouTube channel, the biggest in the country. So right now, what we're doing is...
Which country?
Eswatini, for sure.
Okay.
In the country. So right now, we are here at, what's this place, Nota?
At the Valley Shopping Center in Denford.
Yeah, the Valley Shopping Center. We're doing the things. Shout out to Clary. We are here doing the things. We're doing it big, and we had to come through. This person, Buffett, doesn't even need an introduction. The biggest. We are here. The biggest in the world. The biggest in South Africa. The biggest everywhere. So
In
Buffett.
SADC.
In SADC. Ladies and gentlemen, Nota Baloyi in the building. Bro,
How you doing?
my brother, I was... Shut up.
Damn.
This is me.
Who ordered another ginger shot?
Perfect time. I think it's Sam.
Okay, can I have a pot of rooibos as well?
It's Sam.
No. Just rooibos and honey.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll get his IG and we'll tag him.
For sure. We are here, Nota. And Exemelus, Sam.
That's a cappuccino.
Yeah. Where's Sam? My brother. We are here. Me, I don't even drink hot
I haven't watched
beverages.
your guys' stuff.
I haven't.
But when you guys texted me, I was like, okay, you want to drive all the way from Eswatini? You know? And I don't often check my IG request messages.
Took you 2 days to respond, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's just that on that day, I was checking my requests. I forgot. I forget to check my message requests, you know? So I just decided, no, let me check. And then when I saw you guys have a meeting, I was like, damn it. I'm actually traveling. I've got a funeral to go to, but if you guys can come through before the funeral, let's rock. So, yeah.
We had to. You know, at some point where we're in Nelspruit, we're in the car. We're like, Nota hasn't responded. What's the plan? Literally, we had to go around Nelspruit. Just visited radio stations, where we had done it. We did it because when did we get to Nelspruit? I don't remember, but we went to immediately when we touched down at night. We went to Kwala Straight FM. Then the following day we had to shoot up for you, and then you didn't respond. Hey, we had to debate. Now we're like, what are we gonna do?
Gonna go back or?
And this guy was like, we're not going up unless you get a message from this guy. So we spent like hours, bro. But shout out, we here. But I wanted to ask you the first question. Yeah. How do you do it, bro? How?
Do what?
You go to every podcast, don't you get tired of maybe, say, getting asked the same questions, getting to talk about one thing over and over? I don't know if it happens, but you're on every podcast. How do you do it? Where do you get the energy?
Look, I'm passionate about diversifying the media space. You know what I mean? So I know that I've got a very big profile and I can help people using that profile, not only to gain an audience, but to also share certain perspectives, you know? So, I mean, that's what motivates me. And plus, I mean, like grinding is something has been in me. Like, when was it? 2005, 2006. That's almost 19 years ago. I've been grinding around here. Thank you. So I've been grinding around here for all these years, and with that grind, you know, I know that I started somewhere, and people had to put me on, give me opportunities, you know. So I promised myself that one day when I'm in a position where I can give people opportunities, I'm not gonna be like a superstar or something. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna have that attitude. Whether or not I've been, you know, treated well by other people, you know, while I was on the come up, who maybe gave me an opportunity or didn't want to give me an opportunity, I was like, I'm just not going to be that guy. So that's it. And diversifying the media space, I mean, like Eswatini, you guys are like 5 or 6 radio stations. I've probably been to all of them.
Radio
You know,
stations
taking,
in Eswatini.
yeah, you guys have already.
We have one.
You got studios. You got smaller stations. I've been. They've got smaller stations, like the small stations. Yeah, the small little
Okay,
independent
I get
stations.
you.
I've been like, yo,
Us.
I've been to like a lot of media spots.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I'm serious. You know, I've shot shows on your TV shows and everything else, promoting artists, you know, or bringing people there. So I know that the space is really closed up. And before the advent of the internet and everything, before we had YouTube, people didn't have a way in. You know what I mean? So there's only one channel that you can get on. You know what I mean? What is it? SDTV or what?
Eswatini TV.
So if you're not on there, then you've got no opportunities. You have to try your luck in South Africa, or in South Africa there's 3 TV channels basically, because there's DSTV, there's ETV, and there's SABC. That's 3 different channels. You know, 3 different media corporations. If you're not on either one of those, you don't have a job.
For sure.
You know, and that's where a lot of the talent falls by the wayside. You know, and you never get to see people that are talented. You never get to see different views, different perspectives. You don't get to share your culture, and that's unfortunate because we should be diversifying the space, because we've got so much diversity. You know, you've got your Swati people, Abase Swatini. You've got you know, what else do you have? You've got Tonga people. This is just in Mpumalanga. You've got a few Ndebele people, you know, in some parts of Mpumalanga, more on the southwest of Mpumalanga, you know. So if you go like Bronco Strait side, you know what I mean? There's communities there. And in Limpopo, you've got like a lot more diversity. There's Pedi people, there's Bolobedu people, there's, you know, Venda people, Tonga people, you know. And there's not enough media diversity. You know what I mean? So you go to Nelspruit and the SABC building is just Likwalakwal and SABC News. And then that's it. And then it's the smaller stations that are basically Swati stations. You know what I mean? There's K-Mash FM, there's all these different radio stations that are community stations. And they can't absorb the amount of talent and the amount of people that are there, you know. So we need to use the internet to diversify the space to ensure that there's more opportunities for people, you know. And TikTok has also opened that space up. Because of TikTok, there's a whole lot of more content creators that are out there. You know, there's a whole lot more content that's being made. And the reason why we need media is because media is what we use to sell products. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you know Johan Rupert? Or have you heard of Johan Rupert?
Yeah.
Johan Rupert owns E-Media. So E-Media has got YFM, has got E-News, ETV, EVOD, and those media channels are necessary for him to sell all the other products that he owns. Your Bacomo Wheat Bix, your, you know, you name it. They're necessary to sell the products. And us in our communities, we're unable to sell our products because we don't have enough money to advertise. And even when we do do some marketing. It's social media marketing within our local communities. So you shouldn't have to work for a shoemaking company for you to be able to make shoes and sell them. If you've got the skill, you can do the craft, you should be able to sell your products within your own community. If you are a radio repairs person, within your own community, you should have enough customers. You should be able to run a business. And we need media for that so that people are aware, people know, you know what I mean? It's not just word of mouth that sells our products. So yeah, that's why I want to help diversify the media landscape. You know, that's why I'm committed to that, because I know that the knock-on effects is that more and more people will get other opportunities to market their products, to bring awareness to the services that they're providing. And services are where the jobs are going to be created, you know. Less and less miners are needed to mine minerals. You understand? The minerals processing, less and less people are needed to do that. I mean, look at gold. In South Africa, we're like one of the top 10 biggest exporters of gold in the world. I think we're number 7 right now. We export close to 110 tons of gold a year. All of that gold has to go through one refinery, Rand refinery. You know, I don't know if you've seen, there's like these big trucks that are like followed by police people. Like, you know, and everyone's asking, what are those trucks carrying? Those trucks are carrying gold, and it's all being taken to one refinery. So that refinery is going to hire all the metallurgists. And how many students are studying metallurgy in university? You know, we don't have a state-owned steel company anymore because we sold it off. And a whole lot of the smaller businesses have been consolidated. So with that, you can see that if we don't diversify the media space, you know, the consolidation is going to lead to less opportunities, more concentration. And the more concentrated things are, the less people are being able to be absorbed in work opportunities. And that causes the big income disparity that we have. You know, wealth disparity is one thing. That's about people that have got generational wealth. Some people come from very rich families and they're able to concentrate their wealth. But the income disparities are what really affects the most people. You know what I mean? There are people that are earning minimum wage, and then there are people that are earning nothing at all. And the gap between the people that are earning minimum wage and nothing at all is too big. And that's the problem, you know. There's also the issues of people not understanding that we all contribute to the fiscus. Everybody pays tax. Everybody, you know, even a broke person who doesn't earn money, who gets given money by their family members, when they go and buy products, you know, they pay tax. It's not just income tax, that's the only tax.
Everywhere.
If you ride in a taxi, the taxi uses that money to buy fuel. You know, almost 40% of what you pay in fuel is levies, that's taxes. The products that you buy, if you buy products that are made in China, because they're cheaper, you pay taxes on those products. There's tariffs. You know, the tariffs are then introduced to raise revenue for the government and to ensure that we are able to protect our local industries. But that's a revenue driver. So democratizing opportunity is the most important thing that we can do. And I try to contribute to that in the space that I'm in, which is in the media space.
Hey, shout out, bro, because it's tough, and it's also tougher for what does it take now for the money to come in now? It's like content creators like us, for the, I don't know if I'd say the government or the corporates. How do we make money and how do we monetize this thing?
You need to make products. That's it.
Our own products.
Like I told you,
Apart
Johan
the
Rupert owns ETV and everything else, and then he sells products, and then he's got the media networks to market and sell his products.
Let's make products, bro.
That's it.
Let's make products, bro. But now it's for I think, because I'm here and back home, there are people that want to start. They're like, what does it take? Because there are some people that always have excuses like, how did you get there? It's because maybe you're using an iPhone, you were born off in a rich family. What would you say? What would you say one has to do if they're looking at us now and they're trying to be like, Nota is dropping bars, but now the question is,
where do I start?
Where do I start?
You start with what you have, whatever you have. If you've got lots of straw and grass, make brooms. You understand what I'm saying? That's what you can do. You can make straw hats, make mats, whatever you have, whatever resources are around you, start with that. And then the income that you make from that, invest it in making more products and diversifying your product offering. And that's it.
It's crazy.
And the way you gain customers is to market your product. You need to be very, very aggressive. You need to market your product. You need to sell whatever it is you've got. You know, if you have got farms around your area, right? You go to the farms, you ask them if they can give you some of the corn that maybe they're not selling on the market, they're not moving, and then you cook it and you sell corn, or you dry it and you sell feed. You know, it starts small. You need to start somewhere. The problem is that a lot of people are scared to start. You know, the product that I've sold the most is music. It's a product itself. People can consume it. People can pay for it. You know, at first we didn't sell it. We were giving it away. We were marketing it. We were gaining awareness. And then once people realized that no, the product that they're making is quality, they were willing to pay for it. And then we got them to pay. That's it.
Product.
That's
and
it.
you must know when to start. So
Let's
listen.
start.
Yes, you
With
must
whatever.
start with what you have.
Yeah, with what you have.
So,
And start young.
Speaking of a farm, we have a farm.
Yeah.
Like we have a farm like 500 hectares.
That's gigantic.
It's gigantic. And we actually on our way here we first made a stop at the farm in Bumalang. So I'm like, what can I do with this farm?
Yeah.
Because we just got it back. I think my great-grandfather, my dad just got it back now. So my dad is like older now. So he's like, me, I'm doing this thing for you guys. So you must handle now. So me, I'm from Eswatini and I'm here for the first time looking at the farm. I'm like, wow, had to fly a drone to look at that thing. So I'm like, okay, where to from here?
Yeah. Get some people that can help you and figure out what are the most viable crops that you can grow, you know, because that's fertile land over there. And then look at what would be the best yields you can get. And then once you do that, gain the skills, gain the knowledge to ensure that you're able to produce a product. And then it's about then creating access to market and selling your product and marketing it. You know, once you've got the land, it makes it easier to acquire other things. You can get loans for crops. You know what I mean? You can use money to get insurance for, you know, crop failures or, you know, anything that's like could hamper you delivering whatever product you've got. And then you sell the product. Coca, the one that is used to make chocolate, is sold a year in advance. Yeah. So when they buy Coca in Ghana, the big companies, Mondelez and all these, they buy it a year before it gets delivered. They buy it a year before it gets delivered, so it hasn't even grown. And then it's up to the farmers to then deliver on the yield. Like a year later. Like right now, the orders just came in at the end of May. That's when the market closes. So that's for 2025's May yield. So they'll get delivery of that coca in 2025.
Bro,
the coca price has doubled. You know? So those are the inputs of making chocolate. Now the problem is that they're selling the coca dried up beans as a raw material. They don't process them. They don't turn it into chocolates or any other products. They don't turn it into powder. And thus, they're not beneficiating. So if you take your product that you're growing and then you turn it into like a final product, a consumer product, that's when you can make even more money. That's where the most money is being made. The most money is not being made in selling crops. It's in agro-processing. So there are companies that specialize in agro-processing. Even if you're not into the agro-processing space, you can create, you can have a chemicals factory, and you could be producing fertilizer. And then all the farmers in your area could be buying that from you. You've got a lot of land, so you can do a whole lot. So you can have fertilizer for yourself and then have enough fertilizer that you're making for other people to buy off of you, so you're not just reliant on the one product that you've got. And that's it. Yeah.
So now, bro, I know you've probably been asked this question a lot of times, but let's take it back. Nota, maybe for the sake of also the viewers. Who's Nota? Because they're probably wondering, what's how? This guy, we used to him interviewing like our local acts, whatever. Now he just shoots up to Nota. So who's Nota?
Well, I mean, it's a name I was given in high school by a friend of mine. My name is Nhlamulo Baloyi, which is NB. And then I got given the nickname Nota Bena because of that, because of my initials. And yeah, I'm, just a guy from here. From here, I'm Zanzi.
From here, it's like,
So, I'm just a lateral thinker from Zanzi. I cut my teeth in making music. I wanted to rap, and I was like, "Ish, damn it, I'm not as fluent as I'd like to be in our native languages, and I just didn't believe that, you can be an authentic South African rapper without rapping in the native languages predominantly. Yeah, so that's why I decided to focus on helping other artists as a start. You know what I mean? And that's what I've done. I developed talents, you know what I mean? I helped them get into the mainstream through my record label. And from then on, I went to work in the corporate space, as a director at Sony Orchard for distribution. I did that for like 2 years. And within that 2 years, I signed up more distribution deals than they've managed to sign since, in the 3 years since I've been gone. It's been 3 years since I left. So
for Orchard.
Yeah. So I set them up, and also they gave me an opportunity to learn because the company is based in New York. So that gave me an opportunity to learn. I also got the opportunity to travel, arrange international deals for South African artists, and a lot of the people that I've had the opportunity to work with or provide opportunities for have gone on to do greater things, like winning BET awards, winning Grammys, winning adoration and admiration from fans all around the world. Gaining billions of streams.
Billions, bro.
Yeah.
Who are those artists we're talking about?
Just a lot. I don't like to name names. You know what I mean? I don't like to name names. But
name a few.
I don't like to name names.
Few.
I don't like to name names. I prefer one day when they're having their acceptance speech that they'll name my name.
But Nota's name is always affiliated with Questa.
But there's more than that.
There's Questa.
Yeah, there's more than that. You see, the reason why I've decided I don't want to name names is because I find that, there are people who are able to eat and feed their families today, but they'll never say, "Yo, I'm able to feed my family today because of that guy." So when they mature and they gain proper humanity, like Ubuntu, not humanity as in being human beings, but Ubuntu, and then they'll be the ones that'll say, "Actually, this is the person that has played a seminal role in me being whoever I am today." I'll leave it up to them.
But you call it Quest.
What do you mean?
Are you cool? Like to communicate, talk?
Look, man. I don't think I can ever be cool with someone who's tried to, deny me a plate to eat. Meanwhile, I provided the shirt on their back. You know what I mean? So like there's certain levels of betrayal that are just unforgivable. And yeah, once you see a snake is a snake, it's a snake, it can't bite you. So keep them away.
It's gone.
No, that's not a
like
question.
but my thing is Nota. You
Yeah.
see me and this guy. We drove all the way from Swaziland.
That's true.
You've traveled the whole world with this guy.
Yeah.
You've made money together, made hits, memories, and
Yeah, that's in the past.
what happens? I'm trying to understand. What's one thing that happens that pushes you guys to get to that point where you like we can't even sit down and
Oh shit, this is not my ginger.
what
Who ordered the ginger and turmeric?
I think it was Sam.
Yeah, here's your ginger and turmeric, bro. Here's your ginger and turmeric. I put it here by accident.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm mixing it. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. So we weren't all raised with Ubuntu and humanity and respect for other people, and self-respect. So when someone lacks just genuine appreciation, God shows them. And, it's not up to me to punish. Let the vengeance be mine, said the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So, the people that can't appreciate, they get shown by the Lord. Mina, my way, my light is blessed. I've got people driving all the way from Swaziland to come and speak to me. You know what I mean?
You know the vibes.
That just shows, you know what I mean? That comes from having a good heart, and yeah, and just being a genuine human being. You see this guy here who's helping us. You see how he treats me? Yeah, because I've treated him well. That's just how it is.
When last were you in Swaziland?
Yeah, probably 2019. Probably 2019, ne? No? Did I go to Swaziland? When last did I go to Swaziland? I can't remember. Probably 2019. Probably drove in and out of Swaziland. Yeah. I got friends in Swaziland.
Hypnotic? I thought maybe it was Hypnotic Days. I thought
no, Hypnotic. I mean, yeah.
What do you think of Hypnotic?
Like, it had lots of potential. You know what I mean? I wish it can come back, Swazi Jive. But also Akili and them, they're busy. Like, I'm sure their parents want them to finish their studies. Because Sakile was studying in San Francisco, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, the parents, sometimes they're not as supportive of people's initiatives. Like,
we showed an episode with him there's an episode with him. We asked him about the same thing.
Yeah. So they must bring it back. They must bring it back, and they must partner with Uncle Waffles because she's putting Eswatini on the map, Just that all her opportunities came from her being in South Africa, and that's just unfortunate for the people back home, is that there is no one from Eswatini, from her home country, that's involved in what she's doing. There's a guy called Bo. He lives in the United States. He lives in New York. I met him as well. I think he was the first person to book Uncle Waffles when she started DJing in Swaziland. So once she started getting more opportunities this side, the market is much bigger in South Africa. And that's where she took off. You look at a guy like Sands, once Sticky started blowing up in KZN on the Ukozi FM, Kakasini and all that stuff, he blew up. He won the Swamwa. What are they called? The Swamwa Awards, the Swazi Music Awards.
Maswama.
Swama. Amaswama.
Yeah.
Swama, yeah, whatever. But beyond that, he wasn't able to grow his career because the market is very small in Swaziland. And he had such a big hit, it became bigger than what he could do with it. And South African music wasn't yet global at that time. So we had a problem in South Africa is that once you reach a certain ceiling and then you don't break globally, then people get over you because now they expect more and more and more. They expect you to elevate and elevate and elevate. And once you've reached that ceiling, it's over.
And where we from, the ceiling is here, bro. It's here. It's here.
Okay. Look at these boys. Baseva umlungu. Baseva umlungu.
They're living nice. We in it, boys.
Eh,
We phakathi inside.
do they have that Eswatini?
Ngengani?
Do they have blondes that serve the Eswatini? Blonde, blue-eyed. They're in hiding. Yeah. So, you know, a bushfire is big. I've been to bushfire, you know, many times, and people travel from all over SADC to go to bushfire. They camp out. I've never camped in bushfire, fortunately. Fortunately, the last time I was there, we're with Salif Keita, you know, and we met his manager, and then his manager took us to Kenya to do some festivals there. Chris Siren, yeah. So, you know, there's lots happening there, and yeah, it's not really. People say that Eswatini is the last monarch, absolute monarch. That's not true. That's not true. You know, King Charles is still in charge of all his land, and he's got land in Eswatini as well. You know, he's got land in Lesotho, he's got land in South Africa, he's got land in Botswana, he's got land. King Charles, right? The land that he owns, the sun never sets on it. As in, as the sun goes around the globe, or the globe goes around the sun shines on pieces of land he owns non-stop, 24 hours a day. He owns land across the globe. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the power of the kingdom. So they've got politicians, but when they elect a prime minister, the first thing he does is that he comes and then he has to talk to he has to talk to King Charles. So there's a lot of people that want Eswatini to abandon the monarch and the monarchy. And yes, you know, no monarchy is perfect, especially in this modern context, you know. But as much as, you know, there's political aspirations, people shouldn't think that democracy is the ultimate solution to all their problems. The problem that we faced as Black people, right, all over the world, is that our kings have betrayed us and left us suffering. You know, if you look at South Africa, our kings gave away their lands and everything else, and they have nothing. MTN, Eswatini, is 50% owned by the monarchy for the benefit of the people. MTN in South Africa, where the company was founded, is owned by private hands, foreign hands, completely. Just imagine that. Anything that operates Eswatini needs to have the monarchy as an investor. Here in South Africa, everything can be owned by anyone and everyone, which is wrong. You know, there's nothing to benefit our people. You look at Eswatini, as much as it's not as rich a country as South Africa, the suffering in South Africa is much worse than the suffering that you see in Eswatini. When people suffer in South Africa, they suffer to a worse extent than people suffer when they suffer in Eswatini. You understand what I'm saying? And that's because the monarchy has got a responsibility to take care of the people, because the people can kill him. There's many kings that have been killed by their people. You know what I mean? If the people get unhappy to the extent, there's no army or no force that can stop them. Look at what happened with Donald Trump just now. You know, that person was willing to die to take a shot at Donald Trump. And that's why he was unstoppable. Because he didn't care that, okay, if I try and shoot at this guy, they're going to kill me. He missed. But had he hit, he still would have been killed, but he would have hit.
But there's a lot of conspiracy theories around that now.
There's no conspiracy theory. There's no conspiracy theory. We saw what happening. The conspiracy theories are from people who hate God. There are people in this world that hate God. We are suffering because there are people that hate God and don't mind seeing people suffer. There's evil people that are in this world. And that's why they'll say anything to someone died in a hail of bullets covering his daughter and his wife. Someone died. Those bullets are real. You know what I mean? We saw him bleeding. You understand? There was cameras there. You didn't see someone taking a patch of fake blood and putting it on him. You didn't see that. So we would have seen that had that been the case. There were people standing right there. Forget the angle from this side. From the reverse angle, anyone could see what's going on. You know what I mean? So it was what it was. It is what it is. And that's the type of evil that we're confronted with. You know what I mean? So if they can try and kill Donald Trump, you know, nobody is safe. Not even Mswat. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. So what he needs to do is to be good to his people and benefit his people to keep them happy. Otherwise, they will remove him. They will force succession. That's what it's called. It's not even called killing the king. It's called forcing succession.
Bro, now in the entertainment, you had mentioned names. We got into that. What? But also, you made waves, bro. You always trending. I think now you kind of reserved. There was a point
Nah, they
where
banned me from
everything.
trending.
Huh?
They banned me from trending.
This
People
guy was
reported
trending
people
every
reported
time.
my account so much so that to minimize my influence. But I mean, it lasts. They report my account every couple of months, and then for 3 months they ice me. I'm shadow banned, so when you search me, you can't find me. You can only see me when someone you follow retweets my tweets. So, you know, they do that to me a lot. But I've got time. I've got time. Life is long.
Bro. So there was also this thing they said when you moved to the US, they said you're running away from people that are trying to kill you because you were trending about that AKA.
No, I wasn't running away.
issue.
I was moving my business. But I left at that point in time. I decided to leave at that point in time. It was already my plan to move my business. I was already supposed to have left in 2022. I shifted it a year back, and I already had, you know, the plan. I already knew I was going to stay and everything else, you know. So I was just relocating my record company to that side, you know. But it wasn't safe. There were people that were really. I only came back once I knew that people were arrested. You know, the first people that got arrested in Cape Town when I was in Paarl, when they were trying to track me down, you know. And even some of the AKA crew over there, KO's brother, called me to try and track me down, try and locate me. And we spoke on the phone for like 30 minutes. And then he was like, yeah, no, I know you are busy hiding there by Kid X's house. So before I left for Cape Town, I dropped off my car at Kid X's house because he lived close to the airport. And I was like, damn it. Okay, I need to move my car from there. You know, I need to get someone to take my car. I still haven't driven that car since then. You know what I mean? It's over a year because it's not safe. And I prefer not to drive around so that no one knows what car I'll pull up in. You know, you'll never know. Let's say, hey, he's traveling there. And even like, I don't even use the Uber apps or whatever. So no driver knows that they're going to pick me up when they're coming to pick me up. You know what I mean? They don't. They get surprised with, oh, and yeah. You know what I mean? And also, it's like weird that every single Uber or Bolt driver knows you, but you know, it has its perks. It has its perks. But I'm not a bad person, so I don't mind. You know what I mean? Like if you're a bad person, then people will then say, "Ah, lo muntu lo, ay, irabisho muntu lo." So it wasn't safe at that point in time. So once I had confirmed that, you know, there've been arrests made, I think sometime early December, like around the 20th of December or something. That's when I found out, okay, they made the first arrest, right? Or it was in November that they made the arrest. And I heard that they released the person because I got people inside the prisons that were telling me, no, they arrested this guy at Westville prison, whatever, and they forced him to confess. You know what I mean? They arrested 2 guys and they released him so that he can then get the other guys. And then that's how they zeroed in on all the other guys.
So they were trying to get to the Ngabi way.
Yeah, because I was the one who was raising the volume on who is involved. I was like saying, pointing, these are the people that you need to look at. You need to look at his crew, his team. They are the ones who betrayed him. You understand what I'm saying? And they're still betraying him. You know, they had his daughter performing at a gig in Durban now, which was organized by the guy who booked him for the gig that he didn't make when he died. How can you do that? Like, it means that you guys are in cahoots with the people that killed this guy. And then you allow his daughter to then go to the stage of, like, you know, and that's what I'm saying is that there's evil all around. These are evil people. You understand what I'm saying? Like, all these people that you're seeing, they're evil. They're into dark magic, they're into ritual killings, they're into sacrifices and all these types of things. And you can't trust anybody. So that's why I cut all the snakes out. You see, once you identify the snake, it can't bite
Yeah.
you.
So do you think, like, because this thing that she's saying right now, do you think it goes on to affect like members of your family? Maybe
Of
like
course, it affects members of my family. You know, they attacked members of my family. They came to my house. They sent lawyers letters, all those things. You know what I mean? They had my family put me in an institution. I was stuck in an institution for 84 hours or whatever. No, 86 hours. How much is 4 days?
I don't know how much for
It's 86 hours. No, 96 hours. Sorry, my bad. My math is bad. 24 times 4 is 96. So, you know, um, I was stuck there, and I was getting mental assessments and everything else, you know, because they're like, no, I'm a danger to myself. I might be going through some mental breakdown. And I told the doctors, yo, I'm not going through a mental breakdown. They tried to drug me and sedate me, and I told them, yo, you're not gonna crack this skull. This skull, I'm solid. I'm fighting evil. I'm fighting the devil.
So when they putting you there, what do they call it? Diagnosis.
No, it's called a Section 33. So they locked me behind a steel gate in solitary confinement. They threw my food underneath the hole.
Huh?
Yeah. I just decided, okay, I'm just gonna stay calm.
Like that thing we see in movies.
Yeah. Because like I asked the nurse, okay, why am I here? They say, no, it's a Section 33, so they can keep you here for 72 hours. They say, okay, I need to stay for 72 hours. Okay, let me just stay calm. I don't need to panic, because if I panic and I start acting crazy, then they're gonna be like, oh, you see, he is crazy.
But are you taking medication at this point?
They tried to medicate me. They medicated me the first time. It knocked me out. That's how they got me into the cell in the first place. And then when I woke up from that medication, I said, "You're not going to give me that. What medication did you give me?" I spoke to the nurse. The nurse recognized me, and I said, "Yo, stop giving me that medication. That medication drugs me. I'm not unwell. You are observing me. You are seeing me." So then he gave me like sugar tablets, but he wrote that he gave me that thing. You know what I mean? So when all the psychiatrists came to observe me, they're like, "Yo, this guy's normal," you know. And they were threatening my family so much that after 72 hours, it's supposed to be released. And then they threatened my family to say, no, let another doctor have another opinion. And they sent me to another psychologist, a black lady. And she observed me, and I told her what's going on. And she believed me. And she's like, no, you're going to be released tomorrow. So it was nice. It was like a little holiday, get 3 meals a day. You know, Tabo catering. Tabo. What's it, Tabo? Yeah, there's a catering company that cooks at that thing. I was at a life in the West Rand somewhere, um, close to Stonehaven or whatever it is. And yeah, they fed me well. You know, I even got seconds. You know what I mean? Like they gave me 2 meals. You know, you give you 2 options. This one or this one. I take both options. I ate nicely. You know, I had occupational therapy. My occupational therapist was making me do beadwork. You know, drawings, coloring. I was like, okay, let me take this time out and just relax. It's a little vacation. And then when they released me, I went and I packed my bags. I flew to Cape Town, and then I went to go hide out in Paarl. I chilled there for like a month in Paarl, going from couch to couch, going to my friends' houses. You know what I mean? And then they arrested those people that were actually coming to track me down in Cape Town. And even when they released it on the news, they said, no, the person that we arrested has got nothing to do with the AKA case. But I knew. And then Youngster CPT's manager called me and said, yo, these guys are coming to track you. Where are you? Okay, wherever you are, you need to move now. So then, but the guys had already been arrested. So I was like, okay, fine. I moved to another spot, to another friend's place. And then I moved to Cape Town. I was like, okay, let me enjoy myself. I had one weekend. I booked myself a nice penthouse. Went to the beach. Just
Alone.
enjoying. Listen, listen.
I'm trying to ask at this point.
Listen,
Penthouse alone.
listen.
Kanjani.
Nah. Sometimes you can have friends come into Cape Town to come see you. So
That pause said a lot. Was enough. We get it.
yeah. So I came and then I told Smooth, I was like, yo, I'm gonna be back, but I'm flying to the States. So let's record an episode before I leave. So then the day before I flew to the States, I recorded with Smooth. I recorded with another guy, also wealthy. Before I left what I needed to leave, and then I was off to New York. You know what I mean?
How long have you been in New York?
I stayed there almost a year.
A year.
Yeah, almost a year.
So at this point,
I only came back on the 29th of December.
Okay, I see. At this point,
So I missed Christmas with my family.
First time away from family.
No, well,
you
I missed Christmas. That was it. I missed Christmas with the family. That was all that I missed.
So at this point, when you're saying you're doing all of those things people are looking for in everything, because the reason why I asked about your family and everything is because I saw something where you said TikTok around COVID, it also influenced your partner.
Yeah, but I mean, if you've got a weak mind, yes, you know what I mean. So it's you blame TikTok 10%, but 90% of the blame is on someone not having proper mental strength. That's it. If you can be influenced by TikTok, it means you're mentally weak. You don't have values that you stick by. You can be swayed by anything. So yeah.
So, bro, I'm also trying to understand this part where would say how so, like for let's say I have a partner, she's on TikTok, I'm a hustler, I'm out, I'm obvious the ladies consume content more.
Okay, how long have you had partners?
Me,
in your life, I'm just saying, how long have you had partners?
Not that long. I can't even.
Okay, so before there was Instagram, women never used to wear makeup every day. They'd wear makeup when they're going out or on an occasion or a wedding or anything. Since there's Instagram, women wear makeup all the time. Women never used to put filters on their pictures. They used to take normal, natural pictures. You know what I mean? They used to take normal, natural pictures. Now that there's Instagram and all these things to get likes, so social media has had an influence on people, how they behave. Security guards, there's women who are security guards, they get their nails done. How is she going to be a security guard with long nails? Where did she see that? Women never used to wear fake eyelashes. They didn't even they'd sell them, but they weren't selling the way they are now. So all of these things are influencing. That's why I'm saying is that the media sells these products, and then people believe that they need these products because they see that, oh, damn it, this person, when they wear this makeup, when they put on this filter, they get this many views, they get this many likes. So someone who goes out there to seek external validation does that. Mina, I never put a filter on my pictures, any of my pictures. If you look at my Instagram, all of them. You know what I mean? In the beginning, when Instagram was about like maybe modifying the pictures, I put like filters, but like I stopped using filters like maybe after 6 posts on my Instagram. You know what I mean? Because those weren't really filters to make me look good or anything else. It was just I was trying out how Instagram works and how it manipulates pictures. But that was back then. So all this stuff has got an influence on people. It's got an influence on people. You know what I mean? Women wearing weaves. South African women didn't wear weaves like that. You know, they didn't really wear weaves like that. And also, we didn't have the same high quality weaves that they've got in the States and elsewhere. But once they started seeing that, these girls that have weaves are the ones that get views and they get the blessings that buy them bags and Louis Vuitton. Now everybody needs to have a Louis Vuitton bag. You can't have a normal bag anymore. So it influences the weak minds. It influences the weak minds. You know, I'm not really like an expensive brand person. You know, if I've got something, it's because it's got special sentimental value. This is like cheap stuff. Okay, my jeans are G-Star, but I don't know if that's like an expensive brand. But the most expensive thing, guess what's the most expensive thing I'm wearing right now?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yes, just guess. The jeans. This is the most expensive thing that I'm
Scarf.
wearing. What is that?
I have no idea.
What? Open it. Open it. This is $500. $560.
Yeah. MS.
You understand what I'm saying?
MS. Is it MS? How do you pronounce it?
MS, yes.
I pronounce this.
It doesn't matter how you pronounce it.
But I know the H silent.
Your family doesn't
MS.
own it. Doesn't matter how you pronounce it. You understand what I'm saying? If I do something, it's because it's got sentimental value. I bought this by the New York Stock Exchange at the Hermes store outside the New York Stock Exchange. I was staying there. I was busy setting up business stuff there. I was meeting with business people. You know what I mean? I just secured a nice big deal. And then I decided, no, let me get myself something special. You know? I just caught a splinter.
Yeah, my friends, so if you've watched Nhlamulo, please make sure you subscribe, post this video, comment, share, and let everyone know about this YouTube channel. We're still out sharing the things. And we're with the one and only, the biggest man, Big Nota in the building. Was busy telling me about the scarf here.
You understand what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, it's like people are now obsessed with the brands. You know what I mean? So like even Louis Vuitton, their older designs didn't have their brand all over. It was understated. Now it's the whole entire thing is LV, 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 because people won't buy it unless people know that it's LV. You understand what I'm saying?
And it has influenced the like now, I don't know, in as far as social media is concerned, the way the ladies look at us as gents, they need us to come through with those LVs that you're talking about. The bright colors, if you don't have the LV or Gucci, it's shy.
It's shy. And whether they can't afford it, but it's shy for you.
And that's the saddest part.
Imagine that.
That's the saddest part.
Imagine that.
So you've contributed, like you said, artists and everything. I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the hip hop space right now?
Like, yeah, hip hop sold out a long time ago. You know, it became about bling bling and everything else. So the people that are making the art, they're not appealing to people. Because now they are LV, they're also falling for the Instagram culture. And that's why they're unrelatable. You know? Like rapper back in the day used to be a guy who doesn't wear brands, he wears dirty clothes, or you know what I mean? Rapper used to be looked at as rapper is broke. That's what it used to be looked at. But he's real. He's about talking about social issues and stuff like that. And that's when hip hop was powerful. Now hip hop is just used for marketing and selling products and human trafficking. That's what it's used for.
What do you mean human trafficking?
I mean, like, what do they sell? They sell strippers, hookers, all that stuff. Those are the people, those are the products that are human trafficked. You know? They're not exposing, these companies are engaged in human trafficking. They're not the ones that are exposing that. So hip hop is sold out. There's nothing real about hip hop. You know, it's all a show. It's all fake. You know, and that's why it's suffering the fates that it's suffering. You know, people are looking for something authentic, and people are gravitating towards stuff that's authentic.
And the whole PTD era, I remember also seeing your interview, you said you wanted to be, what's that record label?
Bad Boy.
Bad Boy. What do you think?
Well, I mean, like, that's what I was a kid looking up at. It's like, oh, these guys are pushing the music and everything else. You know what I mean? They're pushing the culture forward. And that's something that we got into. But it didn't mean that I didn't have virtues and values. My favorite rapper was Nas. Always. Always has been. You know what I mean? When Jay-Z was killing it too much, I was like, damn. But if you look at Nas right now, over time, Nas is still a guy who can rap and drop albums. Jay-Z can only do a feature. Because Jay-Z is a slave to capitalism. You understand? He goes on the stage, he says, yo, my wife should have won Best Album of the Year Grammy. Have you heard anyone playing Beyonce's new album? Nobody's playing Beyonce's new album. and you're fighting for your wife. You're a billionaire and you're a black person. The rappers are busy killing each other. They're rapping about killing each other, shooting each other, carrying guns. You're not saying anything about that. That's what you should be talking about. You're at that level. You're worth $4 billion right now. But the only reason you're worth $4 billion is because you get shares in white people's companies. And there you become a slave, and then you can't talk about the stuff that they're contributing to, which is killing people, which is killing blackness. Because when people think about black people right now, they think of rappers. And when they think of the current rappers, they're drug addicts. You know what I mean? They're pill poppers. You know? Imagine. The rapper went from the drug dealer to the drug addict. The rapper is now the junkie. Just imagine. He's now the crack fiend. You know, he's not the guy who was selling crack because that's the only way you could get some money, but to get himself out of that situation. He's now the person that's selling addiction. You look at our rappers today. Look at OMT or whatever. Look at them. Keep Amapiano on Instagram because they're high on drugs. You understand what I'm saying? It's not funny.
It's not fun.
It's sad. It's sad. You understand what I'm saying? You know, you can love, but now you've got no respect. You understand what I'm saying? It's disgusting. That's what hip hop has become now. It's a bastardization. It's a perversion of what it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to be expressing honesty and truth. The artists are supposed to be the gatekeepers of truth. You know? Hugh Masekela won a Grammy Award in 1968. He arrived in the United States just before Martin Luther King was killed. Went to go study at the Manhattan School of Music. If you've read Hugh Masekela's book.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you see? Again, he released an album that debuted #1 on the Billboard 200 albums chart under his own independent record label. As a student from South Africa. Mamire Makeba got him a visa, got him to travel. Because he was a talented musician that she'd met. You know what I mean? Apart from them having their own relationship. But that guy was a revolutionary. And so was Mamire Makeba. She was a revolutionary. So was Harry Belafonte. I arrived in New York when I left there 2 weeks before Harry Belafonte died. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
So, and I was staying in Harlem, around the corner from Manhattan School of Music. You know, that's where my apartment is, you know, close by to there, you know, by Central Park. And there wasn't even a funeral procession for Harry Belafonte. Harry Belafonte is the artist who was the first to have a song that sold 1 million copies. They like come and they wanna go. You understand what I'm saying? So those are the guys that helped liberate us. They put Mamire Makeba on the Ed Sullivan show. She then ended up going to speak at the United Nations General Assembly, and she spoke about the situation that's happening in South Africa, and that's how sanctions were introduced against South Africa, because there was an artist and activist movement. The civil rights activists fought for South Africa to be sanctioned by the United States because the United States was in charge of what was going on in South Africa. You know, those African American artists fought for that. They helped liberate us. They helped liberate our liberators, which are the artists, the ones that were telling the truth to power. There wasn't even an envoy that was sent from South Africa to go and bury Harry Belafonte. Wasn't. There wasn't even an official message from our president, from anybody, after everything he's done to help liberate our country. There wasn't even artists that were aware. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like when I was explaining to MacG what Keenan was rapping about in Run Josie. Everyone was shocked. And that's how stupid our youth are today. They couldn't even hear what it was. Oh no, KO murdered him. KO didn't murder anything. KO rapped about nonsense. Rapped about nonsense. That's what he rapped about. This guy was talking about what's actually happening. Imperialism. You know, and how it's got us in a chokehold. And we're celebrating a freedom that is like not there, it's a mirage. He was talking about the material conditions of our people. And we don't have artists like that today. We don't. The one that we did have got shot in the head on CCTV camera with people watching. You know, and the way our society is so corrupted. People weren't burning things in the streets because of that. Saying, how is criminality gotten to such a level where us as black people, you are South African people, there are Swati people who are willing to take money to take someone else's life, another black person's life. How have we fallen so far in our morality that that is normal? There's an industry of it. You kill someone, they give you a taxi. Your taxi now makes you money so that there's no paper trail of how you get money. You go to prison, they take you out of prison, they give you guns from the police, from the shooting range or from the SAP-13 storage, evidence storage. You go out, you take that gun, they order you to kill someone. The correctional services officers are parcel of the Nkabis. You understand what I'm saying? Just that's the society that we live in. Is this the freedom that our ancestors fought for and died for and sacrificed everything for?
After making this hit, they go back to...
They may go back to the prison.
Now we're searching...
We're searching for someone who's supposed to be in prison, and then you check the prison records, they've falsified the prison records. No, this person was in prison.
So even if I say I identified the person as X, and X, they'll say can't be because he was already in prison.
But we know that people can escape from prison and do whatever. They can come in and out. They can stay in hotels. We know Tabo Bester was able to go in and out of prison when he wanted to. He was able to go in and out and take someone's innocent child, burn their body, and pretend that that was him. And now someone is missing their child. And they're burying a body that's not their relative. They have to exhume bodies. They have to do DNA testing. They have to go through all this trauma. And then Tabo Bester is then given a platform. He can stand inside the court and pretend to be Nelson Mandela in a Burberry trench coat. And that's how disgusting it is. That's how corrupt it is. That money is now everything. Money is now everything. There's no such thing as hard work anymore. It's all about political connections. And these politicians are evil. We're confronted with evil everywhere. And no one is saying anything because Fimasila is dead. Mary Makela is dead.
You are still here.
So Nota is the Minister of Justice. Now, how do you handle let's start with the situation.
I wouldn't even be a minister.
How do you handle the Tabo Bester situation?
There's nothing you can handle as a minister. Because who appoints the ministers? The president is prime evil himself. He allows all of this nonsense to happen. He allows. You hear that this is what's happening, you don't fire the minister that's in charge. You are part and parcel of it. You've endorsed it. You hired the person that sanctioned it. The president has all the power to hire and fire any and everybody. He can hire judges, he can fire judges, he can fire Chapter 9 institution people, he can stop investigations from Chapter 9 institutions which are supposed to be holding people accountable. He's the person who's got ultimate sign-off on people's death warrants.
What did you vote for?
Me, I voted MK. Times 3. MK.
MK.
Yeah.
So what? Because, well, I'm not fully into politics, but like...
Yeah, you guys only have Pudemo.
Yeah, exactly. So the only political leaders we know is, well, the famous ones.
Pudemo.
No, I'm talking about this side.
Oh, in South Africa, yeah.
I'm talking about Julius Malema, bo Steenhuisen, bo obvious ANC. So we were thinking those were the heavy shooters, the first three. So then MK came through.
How did you not know that Zuma's got more support?
Yeah, we knew, but like what convinced, if let's say maybe he didn't come through, Zuma wasn't there, what were you gonna vote for?
Because I thought going to the EFF would change Julius. I voted for EFF before in the past. But he's still the same person from the ANC. And it just shows you how corrupt the ANC is. Everything that is inside the ANC is corrupt. Everything. Everything from top to bottom.
But what's the situation now? They still ruling with DA.
They've been working with DA for a long time. They've been working with DA. The Western Cape used to be under ANC rule at some point. Ibrahim Rasool was the premier of the Western Cape from the ANC before it went over to the DA. The DA was founded because of a merger between them and the NNP. So what happened is that some of the top leaders from the NP, the National Party, moved into the ANC, Martinus van Schalkwyk, and others. And they were giving ministries. And then the rest of them then moved and merged with the DP, the Democratic Party. So the NNP and DP merged to become the DA. It's the same party that was in charge during apartheid, the same party that created the constitution, the same party that negotiated with the ANC and said, this is how we're going to put you guys in power. But these guys were in prison, or they were in Victor Verster, in the prison warders' houses since 1987. A year after the state of emergency was declared in 1986. Now, our people, they don't study the history. This is before I was born, but I studied the history of this country before it was even a country, So I'm aware of the balances of power and the balances of forces. And so this manufactured consent for this GNU is the whole entire thing was rigged. We watched how the US election were rigged. We watched it. I watched it personally. They rigged that entire election. They stole the election. That's how they put Biden in power. And it took 4 years for Trump to convince people that, listen, they rigged the election. Don't let them do it again. And now it's too big to rig. And now, as soon as he convinced people, they try to kill him. That's the only way to get rid of him. So our countries are led by illegitimate leaders. Have you watched Borat? You're not the legitimate leader. You understand what I'm saying? So
how's Amapiano in the States, bro? How are people receiving Amapiano in America?
They're receiving it. That's it. We're not delivering it, but they're receiving it. They're receiving it. So I'd be happy if they were receiving the artists, because what I like about it is that it's the artists from Elokshit, the ones that are not supposed to be getting the opportunities, the ones that are not supposed to be looked at as people that are, are influential. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
So
it meant millionaires. Everyone is a millionaire from up here.
You see, that's the thing. We're obsessed with the money. It's made millions. Yes. It's not about how much you make that makes you a millionaire. It's about how much you keep. How much you keep. You understand? The only thing that I've seen Amapiano do is rocket the sales at Gucci and Louis Vuitton.
Hey, fashion.
Do you understand what I'm saying? That's who's making the most money out of Amapiano. Hennessy, Moët Chandon, LVMH. That's who's making the most money. South Africa is now the third biggest market for Hennessy in the world.
Their riders are crazy. Also.
Just imagine that. Just imagine that. Just imagine that.
When you book them, their rider is crazy.
Forget the rider being crazy. South Africa, with a population of 60 million, is the third biggest consumer of Hennessy in the world.
talking about Hennessy not so long ago.
Just imagine that. You know? That's crazy. That's insane. How do we have that much liquor consumption? Are you on the mic?
Yeah.
Is the mic hearing you?
Mike. No.
Is the mic hearing you?
Let me come switch you out. Because it's gonna show Nota.
So listen, we know that you are a visionary, and we know that you see a lot of things that we don't see, and you travel the world. And everything that you are talking about is things we debate about as youth all the time, right? So now, my question is, you are 34, 35, right?
34.
34, I'm 34 as well, right? These guys are in their 20s.
Yeah.
So, as you are 34, you've got a long time ahead of you, and you know you know a lot right now, like. So the question I have for you
But at
is,
least 96 years left.
So the question I have now is, how do we fix it going forward as youth, as the people in our mid 30s and 20s? Because we see the problem, but for some reason we keep backsliding. Instead of asking, because when Hugh Masekela passed, everything you talked about, the weaves, the makeup, it's things Hugh Masekela talked about.
Yeah.
But it's like he passed and now you are the one talking about it, but mainstream media and everyone else is not talking about it.
Yeah.
We're skyrocketing international sales, right? With our own
But
influence.
why? Because it's mainstream media. So
the question to you is, with all that,
we need to build our own media, sell our own products.
Yes,
products that are not.
What's the solution?
That's the solution
for the next? Because in 30 years you'll be 64. So in 64, when
the people that are in
64,
charge right now, they'll be
dead.
Exactly.
So what can we do as a collective youth?
You need to live
for the next 30 years to fix the problem.
We live. Unfortunately, we don't have the power to overcome capital because we live in a capitalistic society, and they rule the world. You know what I mean? So until these guys are all dead, we won't be in charge. What we need to do is to prepare ourselves for when they're dead. We need to prepare ourselves for when they're dead so that we're not co-opted, so that we are ethical leaders. Their ideas will only die with them. People don't change their minds. They get more stubborn as they get older. Look at Joe Biden. He can't even keep his own shit in. He has to wear a diaper. I'm serious. He doesn't know whether he's sitting or standing, whether he's coming or going. But he's stubborn, holding on to power. You understand? He's senile. And that's it. So the only solution for him is for him to die. And when he dies, his stubbornness dies with him. And the power that he has dies with him. And then new people can come in.
You answer.
Yeah, be patient. Be patient. That's it. You have to be patient, but we continue to conscientize people. We continue to diversify the media. We continue to share knowledge in these spaces. And this knowledge is getting somewhere. Trust me. It might look small, but trust me. It's getting somewhere. People are waking up. It doesn't matter how long it takes them to wake up. We've got time. These people are still going to live for a while. These 1940s
but
that rule us.
By the time they die, we are now in our 50s.
Yeah, but we will know better.
We
will know better. That's the whole entire thing. It's about building our ethics, building our values. We need to have our own morality. We need to have our own moral codes. You know, that's it. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can tell you. There's no quick fix for it. The only solution to the people that rule over us is them dying. And because we don't want to be murderers, we want to keep our hands clean, we'll let God take them.
Yeah. So I wanted to hear, because like the reason why I asked you about hip hop is because I was trying to think. Would say at this point, who is like the top 3 hip hop cats that Nota would say check out those ones, check out those
There's
ones.
nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. You can't. There's nothing of value in hip hop. That's why people listen to podcasts. They don't listen to rappers. And I said this in an interview. I said that's why I needed to snatch the microphone from the rappers and spit myself the truth in a format that people can actually listen to. Doesn't even need to be music. Because all of them are just, selfish. They're masturbating. They're pleasuring themselves. There's nothing. There's nothing.
No upcoming.
Nothing.
Woo.
Nothing. The upcoming are not even studying. They're not in the lab. They're not students of the game.
So now again, solutions. How are we bringing
There's
the game
nothing. We don't need it to come back. It can die.
Amapiano, how do we monetize it? How do we?
We don't need to
Make a
monetize
structure.
it because we see what monetization did to hip hop. That's why we need to support the authentic artists, the ones that are spitting the truth, the ones that are spitting something that's good for our souls. Because the music that's coming out is good for our souls.
Who's spitting the truth at this
I
point?
mean,
Who's
listen-
Nota listening to?
I listen to these Amapiano artists. You listen to Imtandas or you hear what they're rapping about. And the nice thing about it is that, it doesn't entrench superstardom. So every year there's new artists that are coming through. Because once you've got entrenched superstars, then they get complacent. So the new artists are the ones with hunger, with honesty, keep coming each and every single year. And each and every single year, we're getting more and more of them. And that's it. And the formula is that they need to be honest. They need to be truthful. They can't be talking nonsense in their songs. Because our parents are listening now. Yeah. At first, Amapiano was listened to by the kids only, and they could get away with just talking nonsense in the songs. But then as soon as Amapiano started growing, and then now adults are listening to it, and it's like, man, Now the artists also themselves, they're like, hey, my mother's listening to this. You understand? But that's a flash in the pan. Yes, there will be those things. Yes, but that's a flash in the pan. It came to the chart, it exited just as quickly. Umsuzo.
You once got in trouble with using that word with someone. I don't remember.
But
You were stranded with them Suzo term. I don't know who we were talking about. You said
No.
something about was it a rapper or Kulum Suzo or something like that?
I don't know. Oh,
You've
Big
trended a
Zulu.
lot. You've trended a lot.
Big
bro.
Zulu. I don't know. You were saying something. I was like, bro, relax. Relax. All those muscles and relax. They don't help you on the mic. Just keep rapping, keep doing your thing. Be honest. Be authentic. And yeah, that's it.
So
You know what I mean?
what,
You rap in a studio I paid for.
So what's a normal day for Nota? What do you do on a day? Like when you wake up, what does Nota get up to? Because we on a normal day.
I listen to audiobooks every day. So yeah, I don't have enough time to read all the books, so I listen to them. So I feed myself with lots of information. That's it.
Do you believe in that thing they say when they say too much information is dangerous?
Nah, it's
Have
not.
you heard that thing? Have you heard it though?
I hear it,
Yeah.
right? But that's because those people don't share the information. So they keep it to themselves. They don't teach anybody. So once you're teaching it and passing it on, it helps you retain a lot of it. You get a more bandwidth. And plus, to understand something, you need to be able to explain it to someone who does not understand and make them understand. And then that's how we know that you understand something. So the brain is a very powerful tool. That's the thing. So you need to keep exercising your brain, working your brain, and then it'll stay sharp.
The call being self-taught was you never went to varsity, right?
Yeah, but I did go to varsity. I just dropped out.
Oh.
Not being self-taught. Like I was taught by my dad. That's it. Yeah, I was taught by my dad to seek information and not to rely on the textbooks at school. That's it. Because my dad didn't even go to school. I think he finished in whatever. He said Form 3 or something. I think grade 8 or grade 10. I don't know what it was. You know, but my dad always knew more than all my teachers all the time. Like, doesn't matter which grade I in, my dad knew more than them. I was like, how? This nigga is, you know, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm not going to listen to these teachers. They don't know as much as my dad. I'll just listen to my dad.
It's crazy.
You understand?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Bro, Netherlands gents, do you have any questions?
Any parting questions?
Those has to go to Limpopo. Wait, let me sort you out. Let me sort you out real quick.
I want to opinion talking about you. Would see seemingly you had like something to say about him. Like he calls you for numbers, something like that.
Yeah, that's cap. So I went to his show and I told him straight to his face on his show. And what did he do? He privatized that episode.
We need Penwell also. Ish.
You understand? I did 2 episodes. Number 1, the first thing I said, before you even talk to me, I apologize for these things that you said. I'm not a fake. I won't say something here and then when I see you, I'm like, yeah, no. You understand what I'm saying? So, and even I told him about his delusions. I said, yo, you want to start a religion. These religions that we believe in, people had to die. There were wars that were fought. You understand? Those religions, they were won in blood. When you think you can just go into YouTube and then people are going to believe in what you're saying? Come on. You understand what I'm saying? Jesus Christ was nailed on a cross. Now we must believe in you. You understand? He was nailed on a cross. He died for those beliefs. Do you understand? So it comes at a cost. So you're not willing to pay that cost so you can forget about this little pipe dream of starting your own religion. You're just starting a little cult. That's all it is. You know what I mean? And you're misleading people as well. So some people just don't like the truth. And me, I'm an honest person. You know. So it is what it is. You know. And he never produced a clip where I said, yo, I'm the reason why these guys get numbers. I've never done that. And I don't need to do that. You can see the numbers. I don't need to say anything. You understand? So going forward, just keep going. That's the best advice. Just keep going. Determination is the most important thing in everything that you do. You know what I mean? The longer you keep going, the harder it is to erase you.
Yeah. That's it. But one more before I actually leave. There's this thing where we have the mentality of coming to Joburg in order for us to succeed.
Washing. Check on it quickly. Yeah? In order for you to succeed.
Yeah.
You need to come to the center.
Yes.
The city center.
Like everyone, like the southern parts, whatever, everyone comes to Joburg because Joburg is...
It's where the capital is, where the money is, to help you scale up whatever you're doing. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you need to be here. You can come here to get the capital. Just like I go to New York to get the capital. That's where the most millionaires are. You know what I mean? I'm not here chasing the 8,000 millionaires here when there's 1.4 million of them in New York. You understand what I'm saying? So that's all it's about. But the product that I'm selling is from here. That's why I'm here, making the product.
The same thing I was telling you.
And then I take it to the market. You know, you're a farmer, you've got a farm, but people are not going to come to your farm to buy your produce. They're going to go to the market. You know, but you can't grow your product here. This is the market. It's not the farm. That's it. So just think of those dynamics like that.
Hi, my brother, not unless, gents. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here live with the one and only Big Nota in the building. We're out here. What's the name of the place again? Why do I keep forgetting this place?
This is the Valley Shopping Center in Denford.
You heard it, Buffett. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification button, comment.
Yes, it's very important to him to let you know where we are because he's showing you that they've traveled.
And it's important for...
It's effort.
It's effort.
there's toll gates, there's borders,
Exactly.
there's all these things.
A lot of sacrifice had to be made. When I'm telling you that at some point we were there.
Nina, you are just sitting on your YouTube. We are ibugela, Jet. It's very easy, and you don't understand.
It's
what
so
it took.
exactly, and we tell them every time, we're like, Bona, the only thing they need is content. When are you dropping? You're not being considered. The money that we put in, the work,
dude, it's a lot. The luck that I had to check my messages that day.
Sleepless nights.
You understand?
We're not from here. We need to crash.
You understand?
My brother, thank you so much, bro.
Easy, man. I appreciate you guys.